What if your need for control isn't actually about being organized or responsible? What if it's a survival response? If your mind is constantly planning, fixing, anticipating problems, or managing everyone else's lives, if delegating makes you anxious because you're convinced no one will do it right, you're not alone. For years, I thought these behaviors were just part of my personality. But once I understood where they came from, I realized they weren't personality traits at all. They were survival patterns my nervous system had learned long ago. And while they once helped me survive, they were now preventing me from becoming the person I wanted to be. Let's face it, being a control freak isn't some cute personality quirk. It's a full-time job that you never, ever, ever get to clock out of. It's exhausting. Somewhere along the way, our brain got the idea that micromanaging the environment and the people around us creates a bubble of predictability and will shield us from perceived failure, vulnerability, and fear. My journey taught me, while the intention is self-protection, the more you try to manipulate the world and the people around you, the more isolated, resentful, and anxious you ultimately become. I'm going to share the paradoxical secret I discovered that enabled me to finally transform from being the white knuckler to the self-master. First of all, this drive for control doesn't come from a bad place. It comes from a deep, desperate need for safety. For me, it's a survival mechanism I learned in a chaotic childhood and as a response to trauma when life felt unpredictable. I learned on a gut level that if I can just manage every single variable, I'll protect myself from getting hurt, from failing, or that terrifying feeling of free fall. So I became the white knuckler. During my childhood and then through my marriage, my world felt dangerously unpredictable, and any failure I perceived as a personal flaw. I began to believe that if I tried to be perfect, kept a perfectly clean house, worked out incessantly, kept my body in shape, and worked hard to keep everybody happy, that I'd be able to control the outcome, that my husband would love me and be faithful. Here's the paradox. Through my studies and healing journey, I realized my attempt to build a fortress of certainty was the very thing creating my inner chaos. This constant grinding effort to manage the unpredictable, other people's feelings, the traffic, my sweet tooth, put my nervous system on permanent high alert. I lived in a state of perpetual threat mode. My body flooded with stress hormones because I was always braced for impact. I thought I was piloting the ship, but I was just exhausting myself by trying to command the wind and the tides. That exhaustion just wasn't in my head. It's a physical and emotional fatigue. Because of my chaotic childhood and unresolved trauma, I lived in this constant, perpetual threat mode for the first half of my life, and it trained my nervous system to hold my breath without me even realizing it. My brain learned that the world wasn't always safe, so it stayed on high alert. Instead of taking slow, deep breaths, my body unconsciously held its breath or breathed very shallowly, preparing for danger that often wasn't there. And over time, this became an automatic pattern. I wasn't choosing it. It was my nervous system doing exactly what it had been conditioned to do, protect me. The challenge is that when your body stays in constant threat mode, it begins to start treating every day like an emergency, even when we're safe. Trying to control everything in my life didn't give me power or peace. It flooded me with anxiety and prevented me from becoming the best version of myself. I've learned the price you pay for this illusion of control is devastatingly high, and it costs in the two areas that matter most: your own well-being and your relationships. First, let's talk about the psychological cost. Our brain isn't built to run 1 million threat simulations a day. When we're constantly scanning the horizon for what could go wrong, we're basically short-circuiting your own peace. Even unexpected events like a friend canceling plans or a project at work taking a turn becomes more than just a thing that happens. We process it as a personal failure, and this leads to a nasty cycle of self-blame and frustration. I get angry at myself for not seeing it coming, and then angry at the world for not sticking to my script. This creates an inner belief system that I have to control everything because I'm not strong enough to handle uncertainty. And that belief keeps us trapped, running on a hamster wheel, convinced that the second we stop, everything will fall apart. And the relational cost? It's just as bad, if not worse. People in our life, our friends, partner, kids. Our attempts to control don't feel like care. They feel like distrust. When you constantly correct, manage, overparent, the message we send is, I don't trust you. You're not competent without me. And this just slowly erodes connection and respect. Nobody wants to feel like a project to be managed. This dynamic kills intimacy. It creates resentment. Your loved ones either rebel against you or become passive, hiding parts of themselves just to avoid a fight. We end up creating the very outcome we dread, disconnection. We think we're securing the relationship, but we're actually suffocating it. So here's the truth I had to grasp. My desperate, white-knuckled grip on everything was a direct source of my suffering. My anxiety wasn't coming from the world's chaos. It was coming from my resistance to it. I thought freedom would be found when I finally get everyone and everything to behave. Freedom came when I finally decided to focus on the only thing I was ever meant to control, myself. If this is starting to hit home, please take a second to subscribe. This channel is all about sharing my knowledge and healing journey to help others understand that limitless potential lies in even the most broken of us. By hitting subscribe, you may help get the message out to someone who really needs it. How did I actually make this shift? How did I go from being a frantic micromanager of the universe to being a calm master of my own life? The solution isn't trying harder, but to try smarter. I realized it all comes down to learning how to act. I use acronyms to help me remember techniques because I have severe ADD, and this helps my brain learn. So that's why you'll see so many of my videos share acronyms that I created to help me remember techniques. But even if you can't remember what the acronym stands for when you first start, it still helps. Just stopping to try and recall the acronym still helps to engage your frontal lobe, which will help to stop the emotional flood that comes when we're triggered. The first step, A, comes from the ancient Stoics, specifically a former slave named, I hope I don't butcher this, Epictetus. He taught a principle that's so simple it's life-altering, the dichotomy of control. It just means that in life, some things are up to us and others are not. Our job is to assess what's actually in our control. So what's up to us? Our own judgments, our motivations, our actions, and our responses. And that's a lot to control. Giving up things out of our control helps free us to focus our energies on things that produce results, not just anxiety. So what's not up to us? Well, pretty much everything else. What other people think, the weather, and this is a big one, the outcome of our efforts. We can control our efforts, but we can't control how other people respond to them. But this isn't a defeat. It's a liberation. It gives you permission to finally lay down the impossible burden of managing the entire world. My job isn't to stop it from raining. My job is to decide whether or not to bring an umbrella. My job isn't to force someone to like me. My job is to be a person others can respect. When I feel that anxiety rising, I stop and I assess, is this thing that's upsetting me within my control? For example, on a freeway, stuck in rush hour traffic that's moving like 5 miles an hour and I'm late for an appointment and the next exit's miles away. I have no control over the cars, the distance to the next exit. So getting upset will not change anything but my heart rate. If it's outside of my control, I've learned to give it a kiss, bye-bye. Don't be fooled, this isn't apathy, it's strategic focus. The second step, C, takes us from philosophy to psychology. The reason you feel such a powerful urge to control the external world is because our internal world feels out of control. Nervous system, it's stuck in fight or flight. So the most powerful control we have is to learn how to control our own system. Instead of trying to fix someone's bad mood, you learn to soothe your own anxiety about it. Instead of trying to control the outcome of a situation, I had to learn to manage my reaction to whatever happens. A simple, powerful way is to start with a grounding technique. Throughout my personal transformational journey and through my education, I've created several techniques, frameworks to help me start breaking unhealthy patterns, most in acronyms. Here's a couple of videos that have some grounding techniques in them that you can use. Yank your brain out of the anxious future and anchor it in the present. And tell your nervous system that you are safe right here, right now. Safety isn't a condition we create out there. It's a state we cultivate in here. Grounding doesn't erase stress or trauma. It helps your nervous system learn through repeated experiences that not every uncomfortable feeling means we're in danger. And over time, by consistently practicing techniques, your body will return to a calmer baseline after stress much quicker. The final step, T, is to take skillful action. This brings us to a metaphor that I love, which helps tie it all together. The metaphor of the archer. An expert archer cannot control the outcome of their shot. They can't control a sudden gust of wind, a bird flying into the arrow's path, or the target moving at last second. If they attach their happiness to the arrow hitting the bullseye, they're signing up for a lifetime of frustration. So what does the archer control? Everything up to the moment of release. They control their practice. They control the quality of their gear. They control their stance, their breath, their focus, and the clean release of the string. The goal isn't to hit the target. The goal is to shoot well. This became my new model for life. I am the archer. My power is in the effort, not the result. Pouring my energy into understanding myself and recognizing that I've been triggered, practicing grounding techniques, letting go of the things which are outside of my control, allowed me to focus my energies on becoming the best version of me. You too are the archer. Pick your target, aim, do everything in your power to shoot straight, then let go. Let success be defined by the quality of your effort. Internalizing this frees you from the tyranny of results and helps you find deep satisfaction in mastering the one thing you were created to master, you. The ultimate paradox of control is this. True power isn't found in gripping the world tighter. It's found in mastering yourself. It's the realization that all the frantic efforts to manage everything out there were just a distraction from the only kingdom you were ever meant to rule, your own mind and your own choices. Letting go is not an act of weakness. It was one of my greatest acts of strength. Redirecting all that incredible energy from the battle you can never win to the one that if you do win it, it'll give you everything you ever wanted. Peace, freedom, and real connection. You don't need to control the world to be okay. You just need to control you. All right, self-mastery mates, your journey to real control starts now. This week, I challenge you to pick one thing, one small situation or person you've been trying to control, and practice letting go. Only on your own response. Talk to me. What did you let go of? How did it feel? Tell me in the comments. And if this was helpful, make sure you've subscribed. Let's work together to create a movement of self-mastery where knowledge meets action and potential becomes limitless.